Sega.
Hi, welcome to the first in our series of advanced strategy videos for the upcoming game Stormrise. I'm Yug from Stormrisers.com and I'm here with Sanatana Mishra, QA from Creative Assembly. How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
That's cool. All right, now you've actually got a bit of a pedigree with RTS Pro Gaming, is that right?
A little bit. I've had my share of competitions, tournaments.
Yeah. Well,
So-
where have you played? What have you achieved?
Well, probably the best achievement was being the Australian representative for an international tournament. So I went over to China for ACON 5
Yep.
and I ended up coming 7th.
7th. So you were 7th in the world.
Yeah, at the time.
Well, okay, that's pretty good. Okay. Well, I mean, very good. I mean, did that lead to fame and fortune and...
Not quite.
Not quite.
No, still getting there.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But yeah, so we've got Stormrise here, and Dart's actually going to show us one of his personal advanced strategies, which he's called the Turtle.
Well, it's a bit slow, but not much can beat it.
No, I want to see this actually. So let's take a look.
Okay. So the essence of the Turtle is to use a lot of the more defensive units in the game.
Yep.
And a lot of these units will have different transformation states and things like that you can use to plant them down and activate special abilities.
Okay.
So I'm going to start out with some Prowlers. Very fast, agile unit that's great for scouting, but it also has a special mode where it can turn into an anti-air turret.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a stationary vehicle, so it pops up on its wheels and all of a sudden it's got increased range and damage against air units.
So just curious, when it's in that mode, can it only attack air units? Or?
That's right.
Okay.
It also cannot move when it's in that mode
Right.
because it has popped up into its stationary mode.
Yep.
So aside from those, I'm also going to bring out some Sentinels. Sentinels are one of the more powerful infantry units in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not very good when they're just walking around. They've got some small submachine guns there. But if you use their special ability to dig in, you can actually plant down with their larger machine guns and they become really deadly.
So can that just take out other infantry, or does that take out vehicles as well, or?
It'll do a fair amount of damage to anything in the game, but
All
it will
round.
especially decimate infantry. And they can only shoot in front of them, actually. As you can see, they've planted down.
Yep.
So I'm just going to undo that. And the final unit that's part of the Turtle is actually the Arc Hammer, which is one of the more powerful units on the Echelon side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite fond of this unit. It's a very powerful hover tank, but it also has the ability to clamp down on the ground and turn into an artillery platform. So
the distance with that attack is obviously a lot longer when it's planted down.
Oh,
so
it's huge.
huge.
It could probably shoot down the end of this road.
Sweet.
So I'm just going to transform it back and move on to the first node.
Cool. I mean, you hear the word turtling in other RTS games. It's kind of people that aren't actually doing anything. They're just sort of building up the defenses around their base. Is there much offensive to this, or?
Oh, it's quite an offensive strategy actually, but it is a slower strategy. As you can see, you do need to transform your units, which means you can't really move quickly around the level.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful when you're using it, that you're using it in the right places.
Right. And I guess that's the problem. I mean, if you're actually aiming all your units straight ahead, if someone comes around behind you, you're in a bit of trouble, right?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to move up to this node and protect it now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I plant down these units, I've got the Prowlers here in their anti-air mode.
Mm-hmm.
So air units that come at me are going to take a lot of damage. I'll dig in with my Sentinels. So now I've got a lot of anti-infantry defenses there.
Yep.
And I'll just transform these Arc Hammers into artillery.
Cool. Now you've got your commander in the middle there. Does he provide anything to this particular strategy, or?
He does. The commander is very good with this strategy. He basically spots for the artillery.
Okay.
Because you can't shoot at what you can't see. So I like to keep him out in front. He's also great with some good equipment choices. So I've equipped him with the energy shield item, which means I can at any time activate 10 seconds of invulnerability on him with an energy shield that will pop up. If I move on from here to that node, I'll actually be in a position where the AI has to engage me.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't move around. So I'm just going to untransform and move down the road.
Just curious, what happens when you get to a particular point in the map where the enemy already has captured that node?
Well, you do have artillery units, so it's not hard to attack an entrenched enemy node.
Yep.
You've mostly got range advantage on anything they could have, except other artillery units, so the only problem you're going to run into is if you play someone using the same strategy.
Right. Is this something that could really only be done with the echelon unit sort of thing? It's not something the Psi units don't have equivalent?
Psi could use a similar strategy to this using their matriarchs, which are their artillery unit. They're a lot more multi-purpose.
Sure.
They're their elite beast unit.
Yep.
So at 1200, they're quite expensive.
Cool. You don't have any Stalkers. I would have thought the Stalkers, kind of get the impression they're just one of the best badass units in the game sort of thing. Why don't you have any of them in this combination?
Well, Stalkers are fantastic, but their downside is they're very expensive.
Okay.
They're almost twice the cost of an Arc Hammer.
Right, okay.
So if you're going to have Stalkers, you're not going to have a lot of other units.
Yep.
And that's a big problem.
Yep.
So, yeah, ideally, I'd like to have some Stalkers in here, but just due to their cost, it's really not feasible to build a large army, including lots of Stalkers. Yeah, you really need to think about the costs of your army when you're developing a strategy like this.
Yep.
It's all well and good to figure out what the ultimate unit combination is, but if you can't build it...
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that you're doing here that I'm seeing is when you're actually setting the units down, you're actually placing the direction that they're facing. Is that right?
Yes. Anytime you issue a move command, if you hold down the button and don't release and use the left analog stick, you can actually set the units' field of fire, so that determines which direction they'll be facing when they move there.
Yep.
So it's very handy for artillery. You want to make sure that they're always facing the right direction. So as you can see, I'm moving this tank in, and I'll just position it.
So how easy or / difficult is it if there is someone coming at you from around the other side to just pick up all these units once they've been entrenched?
It's not very hard to do, but it is time consuming.
Yeah.
So you have to always weigh the pros and cons of every maneuver in the game, and moving around a map as large as this one, it takes some time.
Yeah.
If you look at the overview map, you can see there's a lot of canyon areas here that they can't even move around, so the alternate path would take twice as long.
Yeah. Okay, so do you reckon we'll be able to... Do you reckon we should take out that other node, or wait for them to come to you?
Well, this is the...
How game are you going to be here?
This is the main path in the level, so...
Oh, there we go. Yep, they've taken that other node.
As you can see, yeah, they're actually moving on the other side of the bridge. So if I set up here, in a minute they're going to have to come over and try and attack me, because there's no other way for them to get through to my base.
Have you brought on a couple of other Arc Hammers there?
I have actually recruited a couple while I was moving up to this point.
Yep.
You just whip back to your warp gate. You know, you select the unit you want it to go to, so you just highlight the icon and you start building, and they'll actually move from your base to the icon you've highlighted.
Right. Well, just curious, what if that unit dies? Do they still move to that position, or do they stop?
No, they'll move there. They'll keep going to the location it was.
Yep.
So if you're under attack and you lose your forces, you can still send in a couple reinforcements. They're starting to move in now.
So what are they throwing at us?
Well, they got some rages, some warriors, so a lot of melee units up the front, and some range units backing that up with scorpions. That's their buggy unit there, you can see, and rangers.
I thought I saw was there a chopper in the... Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, they've got some locusts behind everything.
Right, so here we go.
So my tanks are already starting to fire on them, you can see. So it doesn't look like they're going to get very far. As you can see, as they get closer, all the sentinels start firing. My commander leading the charge.
So you were saying that there was a particular ability on that commander to make it slightly invulnerable, is that right?
That's right, I have put on it the energy shield equipment.
Yep.
So as the enemy gets close, if I wanted to try and keep them busy here so I can get in as many hits as possible, I can activate that.
Cool.
So there you go. There's the energy shield.
Yep.
That'll protect me from all incoming fire.
Great.
And as you can see, it completely decimated their attack.
Yeah.
I've taken no damage.
Go on.
And now, if I want to move forward, I just have to undeploy my units and start moving across the bridge. And that's the turtle.
That's the turtle. Great, okay. Nut, cheers. Thank you very much for coming on and telling us about your strategy and telling everyone else about how to use the strategy as well. Now you can't use it against other people. Yeah, look, stay tuned. We'll be doing more of these advanced strategy videos in the next coming weeks, so make sure to keep checking out stormrisers.com.